After each town council meeting, the staff sits down and records a quick recap, highlighting the public meeting. The complete meeting can be found on the Town of Avon, Indiana's YouTube page, but this podcast is designed to give you a simple overview to help keep you informed about what is happening. The Avon, Indiana Town Council meets twice a month at Avon Town Hall. A full schedule of their public meetings can be found online at avonindiana.gov.
Thank you, everyone. Julie, would you take a roll call, please?
Greg Zuzan, Steve Eisenbarth, Don Loudon,
Present.
Robert Pope,
Present.
Tim Roberts.
Present.
Okay, we have a consent agenda change. We had an item on our check register that was omitted. We did not get it until the last minute. So our consent agenda is going to only include our November 2nd work session memorandum, approval of the minutes from our November 7th meeting, and our Harmony at Avon performance bond release. We'll discuss the check register and the item on new business. We'll get to that after the public comment. Any questions about the consent agenda?
No.
Any motion?
I make a motion that we approve the November 2nd, 2023 work session memorandum minutes, the approval of the minutes from the November 7th council meeting, and the Harmony at Avon performance bond release.
Second.
Thanks, Dawn. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Tim Roberts,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope.
4. Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is the first of 2 public comment opportunities. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close that section of public comment and move to council comment and liaison reports. Ms. Loudon.
Had a great time at the Veterans Day event. Got to talk to lots of people about their service. And it was just overall a great evening, I think. I think it was well appreciated. It was well attended. And then also congratulations to the Avon Marching Black and Gold on their 2023 National Grand Championships.
Mr. Roberts.
I also attended the Veterans Day drone show. That was outstanding. Well done job by our Parks and Rec Department. I also attended this past week the Indiana Chamber event with Tony Dungy as a guest speaker.
Nice.
And also the grand opening of the new runway at the Indianapolis airport.
Nice. I've got a few, so bear with me. I apologize. Thank you to everyone who voted, and thank you for trusting me and Mr. Puckett. Last week, CERTA, that's the Development Authority, had a community leader workshop regarding the Ready 2.0 funds. Unfortunately, it appears the state is a hard no on changing their planned distribution of only $75 million per region. The drone show was, I think, a big success. I've received positive feedback from dozens of residents, hoping that we continue this next year. I want to thank Parks Department and all of our staff that was involved in setting this up and making it a success. This Monday's school board meeting had an interesting stat that I wanted to share with you all. You're familiar with that new state law that went into effect this year that eliminated school books fees. That's costing Avon schools $631,000 just this year alone. Greg and I welcomed LE Mental Health to the community with a ribbon cutting hosted by the Chamber on Tuesday. Yesterday morning, I had the opportunity to sit down with Representative Sturwald. He was the author of the Central Indiana Gun Crimes Task Force, and Detective Tajay High, who is our Avon Police Department officer that's attached to that task force. I learned quite a bit about the massive success they've had, as well as some of the challenges that they're working through. Want to thank all the residents and businesses who participated in our Thanksgiving back food drive for the Mary Lee Meyer Food Pantry. Correct me if I'm wrong, 3.5 truckloads worth of non-perishable perishable foods were donated. And last, just this morning, I participated in a workforce housing task force meeting with various community leaders and organizations. I'm sad to say we didn't solve this housing problem, but we did discuss a few actionable plans to hopefully address it. And that is it for me. We'll move on to new business. First item we have to adjust here because of the aforementioned check register. Ryan, do you want to speak to that first?
Yes, so we had a singular claim. You have a copy of it at your desks. It's for our community crossing matching grant. So we've been working with NDOT to close this grant out. In order for us to be eligible for the grant in 2024, we have to have our grant closed out by December 1st of this year. In order to close it out, we have to pay them back any money that we owe them. And so the way it actually worked out was we will owe them back $33,163.48. I don't actually have a physical invoice from NDOT yet because they still have not processed the information. But if you guys don't approve this claim tonight, then we would risk losing $1 million potentially next year as part of this program. So I'd ask that you amend your rules and add it to the agenda and to be included as one of your claims to be approved tonight.
Suspend your rules,
Suspend the
Suspend
rules and to modify the agenda.
right, to add an item, add the omitted claim to the agenda.
I will make the motion to suspend our rules and add the omitted voucher to our check register and agenda. We have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Robert Pope,
4.
Tim Roberts,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
All right, now, first item on the agenda, the check register for November 16th, which does include the AP voucher for closing out the CCMG grant.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the check register and that we also approve the accounts payable voucher to the payee of Indiana Department of Transportation in the amount of $33,163.48, and to also authorize the clerk treasurer to make that payment.
Second.
We have a first and second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Tim Roberts.
4.
Thanks, everyone. Next item is the 2024 insurance renewal. And Ryan, I assume you're going to speak to this one.
Yeah, I'm going to handle it. Highland did offer to be here tonight, but I know we met with them in October and they did do a presentation on this. And so these are really just numbers at this point. I think hopefully we've answered all your questions about the actual town's renewal. Just for anybody who's watching or just as a reminder, we kind of have 3 areas of our liability insurance coverage. We have kind of our general liability, and Astra is our provider for that area. And then we have workers' comp, and IPEP is our carrier for that area. And then Travelers Insurance provides us cyber liability. Last year, our premium was $295,076. This year, our premium is $308,848. That's about a 4.5% increase, which is actually pretty good. I think the one thing I'll note, and again, I think this was shared with you guys by Highland in October, was that even with the 4.5% increase, we had an 8% exposure increase. Our vehicle census went up 13 vehicles. And so we've added payroll as well. So even with all of those things, we still only had a 4.5% increase. I will point out that our liability and risk insurance was the one that went up the most, and that's really the exposure. Our workers' comp, we had a couple of the previous years, we had some bad workers' comp exposure. So that has improved. And so we had a substantial reduction in our workers' comp. And so that's actually great, considering that we've added personnel, which obviously creates some additional workers' comp risk. And then our cyber, if you guys will recall, doubled last year, and it was actually flat this year. So I think it's actually a really good renewal. And so I would recommend approval of the Highland proposal for $308,848. Happy to answer any questions.
Right. That also includes the new properties, correct?
It does include the new properties, and thank you, all the sports programs. That was something new we added this year. So
So
this includes all the sports property and all of our new sports programs as well.
and Thank you.
I would say that I'm happy with the increase because of what you've just described, how much more we were adding. I'm just going to go on record to say that I'm still disappointed that we're getting this at the last minute. And, I've been on here 5 years, and every year we say, get us the bid, get us the bid, get us the information. And so I don't know if they're just not taking us seriously or what the problem is, but I would maybe think maybe we need to change our renewal date so that we can budget for it in the year that we're heading into. Because right now we just guess, and they're always late getting it to us. So maybe we need to look at requiring them to renew us in June.
Any other questions or comments, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal presented by Highland for the town renewal insurance policy.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Thanks again, Dawn. Julie, would you mind taking a roll call vote, please?
Don Loudon,
4.
Tim Roberts,
4.
Robert Pope.
4. Next item on the agenda, on our agenda electronic here, it's correct, is award demolition quote. For those in attendance who have the printed copy, it's a typo, it's a run-on. Two items are on the same line. So I just want to clarify for those in attendance versus online. We're doing the award demolition quote for us. For us, it's correct. For the paper copy, it is not. This item, award demolition quote, Ryan, I assume you are speaking to this item.
Yes, I will. And Steve is here. Steve and Shelby actually are both here actually to support me if you guys have any questions. But I know you guys have a quote in front of you. First of all, I guess I'll apologize a little bit because I think we uploaded the information, but it didn't come across that the quote that's actually in there that actually looks like the request for proposals is actually the low quote on the project, which is Denny Excavating. And so I think I did explain it in my memo, but if you didn't see that in my memo, I apologize. But this is the quote from Denny. We did reach out to about 6 contractors to do the demolition for us. We only got 2 quotes. We got one from Denny Excavating and we got one from Dorsey Paving and Demolition. Denny Excavating was half the price. I think it's $98,000. Dorsey was $186,000. So it is substantially lower. And so we would recommend the approval to Denny. I will say, so again, I mentioned this in my memo, there's actually 6 homes to be demolished on there. 5 of them will actually go to the redevelopment commission to be approved because they are the results of road projects that the redevelopment commission has funded and paid for. And that's the house on Avon Avenue that we've been using for a field office that we actually purchased as part of the Avon Avenue Bridge project. We will finally demo it. The house at the corner of 150 South and Avon Avenue, right by the high school, the White House on the corner, the south east corner. We're going to demo that house. We had to buy that as part of the construction of the roundabout. And then there's 3 homes that are part of the Dan Jones Widening Phase 2 project. One just like 2 houses south of Ziggy's, another one about 2 houses south of the entrance of Hollowbrook West, and the last one is 2 houses south of 150 South and Dan Jones. Those 5 will actually be paid by the Redevelopment Commission. So really the only one that you guys are approving tonight is the Summer Lot House to be demolished at the park. And so that will be paid for out of the food and beverage funds. And so we do recommend that the town council award the Denny Excavating quote.
Have we worked with Denny Excavating before?
We have actually, we've got a long history of working with Denny Excavating. They did the original demo for the town hall when we did that. They actually did the demolition for the Avon Avenue project as well. There were 13 houses that were part of that demolition and the old American Legion. If you guys remember, the old American Legion used to be down there. They did all that demo work for us. They've done almost all the demo for the town, and we've had really good experience with them. They're really good at what they do.
That was the follow-up.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we award the Denny Excavating quote for the summer lot demo as presented.
I'll second.
Do we need to include the amount in that bid, or in that? Okay, thanks, Dan. We have a first and a second. Julie, would you mind taking a roll call vote, please?
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
Or
Tim Roberts.
4.
Excellent. Moving on, the second one for those here in attendance, the second one on that one line, but next one for us, awarding quote for sports field improvements. Ms. Shelby Pride.
Good evening. First, thank you for your comments about the Veterans Day event. I agree, it was an amazing event. Thank you for allowing me to do that. This quote, when we went into the agreement with the Avon Junior Athletic Association, we agreed to remove their family fee, which they had a bank account with a certain dollar amount in it. We agreed to remove that family fee and that the town of Avon would make a contribution of a minimum of $40,000 in lieu of that to take care of that. I've been working with staff to come up with these capital improvement projects. And one of the first things we would like to do is to create a concrete gathering area right off of the clubhouse near the concession stand so that people can sit and enjoy. We can put picnic tables on it and really just have that time in between games, eat their food, to have team time, family time, anything like that. So we did a request for 3 bids. We received 2, and I would request tonight that you award that bid to Manning Concrete for the price of $11,000 to do this concrete slab. I do have funds available in my other capital outlays budget line to cover this.
I've got 2 questions for you,
Yep.
Shelby. In your memo to us, one of the items says that the quote includes a number of services, but also 5,000 PSI concrete. But in the quote that we received from Manning says it's only 4,500.
Oh, that is my mistake. It is 4,500.
Their quote is accurate to what's needed
Yeah.
and what is expected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other is there's a line item on that quote that says end of season sale, a $3,000 discount.
Mhm.
If we do it within 72 hours and pay within 10 days, I feel like we're past that. Are we still eligible for that discount and it is still as accurate? At
I believe so. I believe that was in regard to a relationship that the sports staff has with this company.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thank you.
so that 3,000, then it's still 11,000 that we're approving? Is that
Correct. Yeah. 11,000 is that total. Yeah.
with that discount?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for the concrete slab over at the AJAA, no longer, sports fields. And that we award it to Manning Concrete for a bid amount of $11,000 and that we authorize Julie to make the payment.
Oh,
Second.
he's got it. Julie, would you mind taking a roll call vote, please?
Don Loudon,
For,
Robert Pope,
4.
Tim Roberts.
4.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Shelby. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 2023-13, Avon Landing Phase 2 ERA designation with Van Trust. And I assume you're speaking to this, right?
I will, yes. Just as a brief reminder of the tax abatement process, the first step is this declaratory resolution that you guys approved, basically identifying that the area is eligible for a tax abatement. If you guys approve this tonight, then we will actually put an ad in the paper that'll be read next week, giving notice of a public hearing, and then a final consideration, which we call a confirmatory resolution, at your December 6th meeting. So this tax abatement is for Phase 2 of Avon Landing, which is on Ronald Reagan Parkway, north of County Road 200 North. It's on the west side. There's currently a 300,000 square foot building there that is vacant at the moment, but they are proceeding forward with Phase 2, which is why they are requesting this tax abatement here. They've presented this a little bit unique to what we typically see because they do have, what their plan is to actually have two buildings that are less than 400,000 square feet. They do have the potential of a build to suit project that would potentially go on the property as well. And so that is potentially working its way through the process. So they've asked for some flexibility to be able to ask for the tax abatement as long as it complies with either of those two issues. This will go through a review process. We do have a tax abatement review committee, which consists of Dr. Wyndham, myself, and John Taylor. I know John's away at medical leave, but Dr. Wyndham and I will review this and have a conversation and present a recommendation to you guys at your next meeting. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
No, but I did speak with the two council members that aren't present tonight, and one of them had something that they wanted brought up, and that, so I'll be the voice, I guess. And that is that to go ahead and if we are to consider passing it for the 732,000 square foot, that it would be for this specific project, the build to suit project. And if it's not a build to suit, then they would like for it to come back to us if it's going to be another building that size.
Can we put a commitment on that? To that effect?
Tonight's just declaratory, but ultimately it's yes or no. Not a zoning or anything like that. It's just yes or no. It's a tax abatement application. So
We're not yet giving them the tax abatement. We're just declaring the area eligible for one,
correct,
potentially eligible for one. The confirmatory will confirm it.
correct.
Okay.
But yeah, you can just say, you can say no if it's not proposed as you wish. But it's a yes or no vote. It's what the statute says. So tonight you're just moving along in the process. That's what you're doing.
Thanks, Dan. Any further questions for staff?
And this was phase 2, correct?
This is phase 2, that's
Okay.
correct.
Any further questions? All right. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Indiana tax abatement as presented for the Avon Landing Phase 2.
And a second.
Hang on. Is that okay, Dan, the verbiage of that?
No, it'd be probably the best thing is to say to approve the resolution.
To approve the, okay.
Would you modify your?
I'll modify my motion to approve the resolution for the Indiana tax abatement for Avon Landing Phase 2 as presented.
You still?
I'll amend my approval.
All right. Thank you. We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Robert Pope,
4.
Tim Roberts,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
Next item on the agenda, resolution 2023-14, interest in purchase of real estate. Ryan or Shelby?
I'm going to do it, but if Shelby wants to pop up or if you guys have any questions, you can. Again, we've had some conversation about this. The town was approached by a property owner who expressed some interest in potentially selling some property to the town. In order to do that, the town council has a resolution of interest, which is what this event or this item is for. The property is at 625 and 36, and it really just to move forward with appraisals. The owner has agreed to provide an appraisal, and the town's going to do the other one. So we would just like to move forward with that process and then report back to the council from there.
This is similar to what we've done. I think last year we did 4 or 5 properties at the same time, kind of did the same thing.
That's correct.
It's just part of the legal process there, Mr. Taylor.
That's correct. Yes, you have to have 2 appraisals and can pay no more than the average. And so this moves us a little more forward, and that council still at a later date would make any decision on an actual purchase.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? Would anyone like to make a motion? You guys have done it. I'll take care of this one. I recommend we approve resolution 2023-14, interest in purchase of real estate as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Tim Roberts,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
Next item on the agenda is the public hearing and introduction of ordinance 2023-21, 2023 additional appropriations. Do you want to speak to this first, or do you want me to open the public hearing? Oh yeah, Julie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll do a just a brief introduction, and then if you wouldn't mind, open the public hearing. So just a little background on additional appropriation. This is essentially items where the town has received revenue over the year. And when we spend that, we actually spend it out of our existing budget, and the council has to reappropriate it back. So the majority of all of these are actual reimbursements of revenue we received. So almost all of the general fund ones are all police grant or items that the police have done. And again, Dave is here if you guys have any questions about that. Actually, the police department brought in about $288,000 worth of stuff, and they're only asking to do an additional appropriation of about 180. So they brought in actually much more revenue than what they're actually asking for to be reappropriated. The one that's a little different is the transfer of the 150,000. So you'll kind of notice that one. That was the transfer we did this year from the general fund to the rainy day. And so if we don't actually do an additional appropriation, it actually looks like we spent 150,000 from this year's budget, and it was actually intended from last year's budget. So the other one is MVH, and the majority of that is actually the community crossings matching grant that the town got. So again, it's revenue that the town received. Steve has spent it, and so it looks like a negative in our budget. So without doing the additional appropriation, it looks like Steve overspent his budget by $1.5 million. The other one is also the, as you know, we were partnered with the township to complete the pedestrian crossing at 625. So we received that money. The town is going to expense it. And so we need to do an appropriation for that. Otherwise, again, it looks like Steve has spent more than he should have. The other two are Deputy Chief Brian Nugent did a presentation to you guys, I think 2 meetings ago, about purchasing tasers, and his plan to pay for that was to use some of the public safety lit. And so that's the $43,000 that's being appropriated there, which would be our first payment towards the acquisition. And then the Lisi Law Enforcement Supplies is also another one. The police have received revenue for that, and we're just appropriating back for them to reuse that. So with that, the first step in the process, Julie so kindly advertised for, you guys have to do a public hearing for the additional appropriation. And then you guys will do your final adoption at the next meeting.
We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:28. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing at 7:28. Any questions from council for staff? Okay, this is
May I
just,
add one thing,
yes.
just to be clear for anybody who's watching, you guys doing an additional appropriation does not impact our tax rate. It's not raising taxes. It's not doing anything like that. You are appropriating money that the town has received in grants. So it does not impact our tax rate or any other taxing entity's tax rates.
Good clarifying education point. Thank you, Ryan. Please let the record show ordinance 2023-21 as introduced. Next item on the agenda, introduction of ordinance 2023-22, the 2024 holiday ordinance. And I assume you're speaking to this one as well, Ryan.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, so you guys will be familiar with this. This is, we do at the end of every year, we start this process. There's basically no substantive change from what we did last year. We had 13 holidays last year, and we're proposing 13 holidays this year. Mostly we're following the federal process, the same holidays that they typically have. I think we do have 2 others, which off the top of my head, I think Columbus Day is one. And there may be one other one that aren't federal holidays, but we did keep it the same as what we've done in the past. So again, this is an introduction. I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have them.
No questions?
No questions.
All right. Moving right along, we will show, let the record show ordinance 2023-22 as introduced. Next item, introduction of ordinance 2023-23, the 2024 salary ordinance. And again, I assume you're speaking to this.
Yes. Yeah. Likewise, just like the holiday ordinance, the law actually requires that before the end of every year, you guys have to set the maximum salaries for all the positions in the town. And so really, we can't do this till the budget is approved. So every number that's in here is basically a number that you guys already approved in the budget process. I will say this is the maximum pay. So there are some employees who actually make less than this. So just because it's approved in the salary ordinance doesn't mean that's what everybody makes. And that's why it's labeled by position and not employee. The ordinance itself, Exhibit A has all the salaries and the pay. The actual ordinance itself does lay out the benefits and what you guys provide the town employees as well. And so all of that is in there as well. And again, everything that's being presented to you is per the budget that the town council approved. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
No question.
No questions.
Yeah, no questions for me. Let the record show ordinance 2023-23, the 2024 salary ordinance as introduced. Legal counsel report, Mr. Taylor. All right. Next item on the agenda is the second of 2 public comment opportunities. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close that section of public comment. Next chance, council comment. Ms. Loudon, Mr. Roberts.
Nothing.
Big congratulations again to the Avon Marching Black and Gold and boards and commissions. Anyone in attendance or watching online, we are taking applications for boards and commissions, and we need your help. So please, if you are interested at all in helping your community move forward, please look up those on our website and apply. Council calendar.
It's getting to be the end of the year, so we're down to 2 meetings. So next December 7th, and I apologize for those of you who I keep saying it was December 6th with our meeting, so I apologize for that. It is December 7th. We do have a work session beforehand. That'll be our last work session of the year, and then the regular council meeting is at 7 p.m.
Before
you.
you sign off, Mr. Pope,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know why they're here, but can I just say, I want to thank the Boy Scouts for coming out tonight and being in the audience. I love seeing the young people in our community enjoying council meetings.
Thanks for being here, gentlemen. That's it. Meeting adjourned, everyone.